Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. Hey, so I want to share an interesting perspective on masterminds, and it may not be what you think. It's really interesting because I have this back and forth thing with investing in masterminds. And I'm going to give you some advice on how to effectively do it, because a lot of my business owners, my clients, folks that are in my circles will ask me, "Hey, Shannon, how do I know what's a good investment? How do I know how much I should pay to be in a mastermind? Or how do I know which one to join? Because there are so many choices out there now." And I'm going to go through that with you, but I actually want you to frame investing in masterminds into three different groups, three different types of ROI, and to understand the value of each one and which one is your priority right now. So I'm going to give you three types of masterminds I think you should join and why you may want to join more than one at a time, believe it or not. So, and again, I'm not advocating to invest more than you can afford. So if you are struggling with cash flow or if you have any issues with profitability, that needs to be tackled first. This is primarily for the people who are trying to perform at a higher level to grow and scale and are having that consistent cash flow coming in, but they want to break through, say, a plateau. So if that sounds like you, this episode is for you. But if you are struggling with cash flow and you're going to interpret this episode as, "Shannon told me to invest in all these masterminds," No. That's not exactly what I'm saying. First and foremost is cash flow support. And then we will get into what types of investments make sense. But let's just look at this through the lens of what is a worthwhile investment and how should I approach masterminds to generate an ROI. So there's three different types of masterminds in my mind that you can invest in and that you can generate a massive return on investment on. Number one is a mastermind of your peers, led by someone who's a step ahead of you. So this is the most common thing I think I've seen, or this might be what you're thinking of when you think of a mastermind, is that somebody coordinates this group of entrepreneurs, this group of business owners, and all of y'all are kind of peers in the same group, in the same level, if you will, as students in a class / all in a peer group or roundtable type structure, where you're all kind of on an equal playing field. Now, you may be in different levels of business. You may have different levels of experience. You may have different revenue totals, all that type of stuff. But you're generally all there to learn and coming for the same thing, which is support or community. And you're there to learn together. So, and you're probably going, "What the hell are the other two kinds?" I'll get there. If this is only one of them, like, isn't this just masterminds? Kind of. So, when it comes to this type of mastermind, what you should walk in with is the goal of how many people you can connect with. Hear me out. So although you will learn a lot from each other and you'll learn a lot from a business strategy perspective, I want you to consider that when walking into a group of your peers, the most important thing is to connect with as many people as possible. And I don't mean exchange numbers. I don't mean follow them on Instagram. I don't mean surface level. I mean, how can you develop a relationship with as many people in there as possible? And for my fellow Enneagram 3s out there, I know what you're thinking. You're like, "Oh yeah, check. Like, I'll make a list of all the names. I'll make a bingo card, whatever. Yes. Okay. But a genuine, actual relationship. How will you connect with them? How many people can you invite to a dinner if you're in person? How many people can you start a conversation with? Can you start with questions? Can you start with creative questions about them? This reminds me, we were just at Girlfriends in Business with Lori Harder. So shout out to Lori for this brilliant idea, because she put these lunch tables together and each one of us had a question card in front of us. And the card said a question that was a conversation starter. One of them I remember was, "What is your superpower and when did you discover it?" So good, right? And that was a great conversation starter because we went around the table and shared each other's superpowers. And what we realized was that someone's superpower was somebody's need or weakness, and those people connected. And it became so much easier to really kind of get to the root of how can I support these people and they support me. And the more that you can cultivate that in a mastermind community and you can connect with other people, not just take and not just give value, but also how do you integrate all that? How do you connect with people in the community? And how do you actually contribute to the community? That is a really interesting perspective on it because a lot of people join masterminds to learn some type of skill or strategy. And my challenge to you is walk in with a connector's mindset when it comes to your peers, because the other reason is because you will elevate with your peers. So I'm going to give you an anecdote from my career because I found this to be very, very, very true. Now, while my business is not at an epic multi-7-figure level, not yet. Anyway, I want to share about my career. So I worked at this big 4 firm for about 7 years. I started with a class of 24. We were like a pledge class. Like we were like the freshmen that came in. We all knew each other. We interned together. We had relationships. Like we had been through some stuff together. Like we were working 60-hour weeks together. Of course, you're going to get to know one another. Like there's no place to hide. The only time we weren't spending together was when we were sleeping. So we got to know each other pretty well. And to this very day, I am now 37. And I left the firm when I was about 27, I want to say 27 or 28. And what happened was I've now noticed on my LinkedIn, I'm still connected with all of them, but I've noticed that they're all partners, CFOs, controllers, VPs, founders, and they're all doing some big shit. I'm not going to lie. Like they're doing some pretty cool things. And think about your college class. Think about the people you came up with. They're all doing some pretty epic shit too. But instead of trying to connect with people who are out of your realm, like connect with each other now and develop those relationships as peers while you're kind of coming up. And you'll realize that like when y'all arrive, if you ever arrive, right? But when you get to a certain point, you're going to look around and go, they're all here with me. And people will be jealous at the connections that you have. People will just be jealous at the fact that you know these amazing people. And you'll kind of laugh to yourself and go, well, I mean, like 20 years ago, I played beer pong with them. Like I didn't connect with them when they became something. I connected with them when we were just normal people. And I've realized that that's the case with a lot of my connections. I know a ton of Big 4 partners. I know I could call a favor from nearly anyone in powerful positions in major companies in New York City and Boston. I know that I could, if I needed something, I could call them. But that's because we develop relationships when we work together as peers. So I would highly encourage you to not only try to reach up and network, but also look around your circles and go, who's like trying to do some big stuff that I can support and I can go along with, and we can hold hands together, lock arms and go. That's who you should be focusing on. So my second group, I know I mentioned 3 masterminds. We're going to get there, is to join a mastermind full of people who are ahead of you. So reaching up. I want you to be the dumbest person in the room. Find a room where you can be the dumbest person. It's challenging. In theory, we're all like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I can learn from all these people. It is intimidating AF, guys, to be in a room where you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you haven't earned the right. It's the equivalent of, if you can just kind of like go back to your childhood, imagine like 6th grade and they plopped you in high school. Yeah, you'd probably be like intimidated. Who are all these older kids? Remember when the kids who are like 2 or 3 years older than you felt like adults, like full-blown adults? Oh my God, the seniors, right? It's kind of that sensation of, I feel like I don't belong here. I feel like I'm too junior. I feel like I'm too naive. I feel like I'm an imposter in the room. Like, why do I deserve to be here? How have I earned the right to be here? All of these thoughts cross our minds, but I want you to find a room that scares you like that. I want you to find a room that makes you nervous, a room that will push you and will get you exposed to people who are doing big things. Now, yes, you're going to go in and make connections, but like I mentioned, the peer group is when I think the connections matter the most to plant those seeds. This group, I want you to be listening a lot. I want you to come in with a listener's mindset so you can absorb and learn. You do not need to earn your right to be there by speaking up a lot. You don't need to prove yourself to anybody. You need to be in there and be humble and learn and say, I'm here to learn. And I think people will pour into you when they realize that you're going to show up and do the thing. You're going to be able to connect with them because they will respect you, because you'll be making the hustle. You'll be doing the thing. They'll see themselves in you and they'll want to support you. But if you can find a way, and usually this involves a massive investment, I'm not going to lie, because if you're trying to step into a level that you're not in yet, you're going to have to show up with an investment to go into those rooms. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be probably something that you're uncomfortable with, not only in your environment, but in your bank account. So you have to be ready for that. But I would encourage anyone to strive for that. 100%. Strive for that. So here's the third group. And this is an interesting one, is what mastermind / community / group can you join that is chock full of your ideal client? So what group would serve you in the form of, and I'm not going to say just the ROI of getting clients, total bonus if you do. I always say, don't go into a mastermind for the sake of getting clients. Go into this mastermind. Let's say if I am a CFO who serves, I don't know, digital marketers, marketing agencies, I'm going to find out where all of them are going. Like, what conferences are they at? What masterminds are they in? And as long as I'm not completely misplaced, as long as the strategies that we're learning are applicable, and it may be a lot of marketers happen to be in a certain room, even though it's not necessarily targeted and designed for them, or maybe there is some type of digital marketer mastermind, and you can find a way to argue to be in there. Like if I'm a CFO for digital marketers, I can say, well, I'm trying to improve my digital marketing skills, or I'm trying to better understand my clients, and I'm here to learn. I mean, basically, no one will turn you away from a room if you're there to learn. But what I want you to do, again, coming in with a listener's mindset, I want you to be open to having conversations to pinpoint the pain points. So asking questions, listening to the struggles they have, listening to, okay, this is how I'm struggling with cash flow, and they may not even know that, but maybe they're struggling with sales, or they're struggling with conversions, or struggling with getting people to commit to ad spend, whatever it may be. And you can come in there and say, hey, I can help you with that. Now, of course, you want to be building relationships and be listening, just like I said in the first two. But I think if you can get in the room with a bunch of your ideal clients, they're going to understand so much about the language they're using, so much about how they're going to share vulnerably what their pain points are and their struggles. This is a massive research opportunity. So I want you to come in with, again, listener's mindset, but also the investigator mindset. That was the word I was looking for, the investigator. So you want to come in as the investigator. You want to be probing in not a selfish way, again, from curiosity, probing what the struggles are, what they need help with, how they could be better served, what feedback that they can share about your type of service. So if you're a service provider, I think it is key that you are in a room that is full of your ideal client. And for some of you, these rooms, a room of your peers, a room of the people ahead of you, and a room of your clients. For some of you, that may not be 3 different rooms. For some of you, your peers may also be your ideal client, or the people ahead of you might also be your ideal client. And you may be able to merge that. But I would caution you on your primary objective. You should walk into a mastermind or a community with a primary objective. What are you looking to accomplish by being here? What are you looking to take away as a souvenir? And if it's solely to go in and try to get clients, that is okay. Just be clear about that with yourself so you know what your ROI is and you know how to be spending your time wisely in there. I think a lot of people make this mistake of going into a mastermind due to the appeal of it. Maybe it's because of the host and they want to be closer to the host, or they want to, potentially get other clients. But they walk into it with this mindset of going into Target without a shopping list. And they're going to walk in and say, let me just see what looks good here. See if I can get some new ideas, share some strategies, And next thing you know, they're spending a ton of money, AKA time, walking around the aisles, picking up anything that sounds good. And they never went in with the list. They never went in with the intention. They didn't go in saying, I'm going to come in, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to get out. Like, at a very bare minimum, I must walk out with this thing that I need in order to feel successful. And not enough people are doing that. They're not setting an intention for the experience. If they're going into a 3, 6, 12-month mastermind, they're not walking away with something tangible because they never went in looking for something tangible. And I want you to consider that. So if you are looking at investing in something, maybe you're trying to get into 2024 and hit the ground running and join a community, I want you to uniquely ask yourself about these 3 different rooms and which one you really need right now. Hey, if you're a business owner who's on track to make more than $50,000 in profit and you're still operating as an LLC, well, I want to stage an intervention. That's right. You could be missing out on massive tax savings that you get from making the S-Corp tax election. Wondering how much you could save? I put together a completely free calculator and questionnaire to see if this tax election may be a good fit for your business. Click on the link in the show notes to find out more and compute your estimated tax savings. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.